Welcome back, everybody. We have made it to episode 90, and the trick was to make you wait 90 days between episodes to celebrate.
Are you sure we just didn't
uh,
forget?
I'm gonna go with the first one. Uh, well, okay,
Uh,
quite honestly,
yeah,
I'm
but this,
actually gonna blame it on the amount of good games that have been out. That's really what's done it, because
yeah.
any free time I have, I'm like, well, I should just sink into more Yakuza. So that's what I've been doing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like, perpetrator of that too is that some of the news that hasn't been coming out on the channel as of late is because I've been playing too many games after like one after another. I would just like I could do this news topic, but you know, there's Zelda, Persona, and some other games I have on my table that I could sink some hours into. 8 hours later, I gotta go to bed, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about what we're playing on later on in the show, but of course, I am your host, Armin, and I am here with Tristan.
What's up, guys?
So, yeah, it's been an interesting couple, but now the news and everything's really starting to pick up, so we're just gonna get right into our first topic.
And it would be people are rejoicing even on the Xbox Reddit page where they are up in arms saying that Xbox codename Scorpio still doesn't have a actual name. People are just calling it Scorpio. They revealed all the specs from Digital Foundry, which I didn't know Digital Foundry had a
So,
business partnership with
here's the thing:
Microsoft. So
I'm very like want to clap for Microsoft for the way they revealed
mm,
the specs because they could have done nothing. But the fact they went to someone like Digital Foundry who legit knows the ins and pieces of every piece of silicon that's in something and they can tell you what it
yeah.
does down to the like molecular level, that is really cool and I love the hell out of that. It seems like they're more about the community and breaking down the Xbox Scorpio specs because I've talked about it on here. I love building PCs. I always try to keep my PC. I rebuild a new one about 1.5 years, so I keep it up to date. I keep up with all the technology. The Xbox One Scorpio, or the Xbox Scorpio, whatever you're gonna call it, that is a great monster of a system. It's gonna play everything 4K, 60 frames a second by the sound of it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Here's my big problem with it. What
Mhm.
games?
Yeah, they didn't specify what kind of games. Most people automatically assume that multiplayer are going to run significantly better than any
But
of the other
like, here's the
platforms.
thing, right? Um,
Yeah.
sure, okay. Let's say we know Red Dead Redemption is coming this fall. Red Dead Redemption 2. That's
hmm
great. I'm gonna
hmm
buy it. Rockstar has a great partnership that they have with Sony. So maybe on
Yeah.
PS4 Pro, it's going to run 60 frames a second, 4K checkerboarded, or 1080p, whatever, right? Xbox Scorpio can run at 4K native and 60 frames a second. That's cool, right? That's
hmm
awesome. But it's the reason you buy a console is generally for the exclusives. And
hmm
there's still Halo, Forza, Gears, cancel the rest. So I don't want to invest in a Scorpio to be burned heavily again. And the way their messaging kind of came off with the Scorpio, it's like, yeah, forget the Xbox One. We failed with that one, but the
Well,
Scorpio's where it's at.
yeah. Well, it goes more towards how again, it's how Microsoft views their studios, and it also goes into why even on the Reddit pages where you'll get some people where, honest to goodness truth, there was a topic here in the Xbox Reddit page where it was around the time of Persona 5
Mm-hmm.
coming out, and they said the original poster said, "Is there any chance Persona 5 is coming to Xbox?" And instead of people giving like explanations on why possibly it would come or definitely not come, you got like 30 comments saying we don't like that weave shit. And then not even like 20 minutes later, you get people complain about why they don't get, well, sometimes they don't get like Japanese third-party games or other third-party games. It's probably partly because of the fan base, because most of the dev teams, it's a
Yeah.
business. People need to make money. People don't work
And
for
like,
free.
don't get me wrong. I would love it if more people could play a game like Persona. Or I would love it if Xbox people could play a game like The Last of Us or Uncharted 4 because those are masterpieces that are in history. When you look at some of the best video games, those two games are going to be there. And the likes of Halo 5 are not going to be there. Now, I wish they could, but it's like the Scorpio, just because you're kicking up these specs does not make me want to buy your console. They've said nothing about the Scorpio that makes me want to go, yay. And I'm saying this right now because people are going to say, oh, you're just a fanboy. Guess what? My PS4 Pro is fucking useless at this point, all right? There's no game is taking fucking advantage of it besides one. Yeah. And here's the fucking thing that happened. I'm playing Rise of the Tomb Raider, right? And I'm replaying. I played it on Xbox One, and I got it for PS4 so I can play. And they added the PS4 Pro patch, which is great. So the options are 4K 30 frames a second, 1080p 30 frames a second, amazing graphics, or 1080p 60 frames a second, worse graphics. Everybody I've talked to that sat down and looked at it and plays it chooses 60 frames per second, 1080p. Guess what? Because it looks fucking great still, and it runs better. So I don't need better graphics.
It's that, and how people saying, oh no, that's what everyone wants is better graphics and all that. But it also comes down to the development teams and whether they want to put money into the patch. Because one other thing, like the detriment to a pro, is that they put it all up on the development team to actually do it. Because another example would be Bloodborne. People were excited that, oh shit, we get to have, like 4K 30 frames per second locked, so there wouldn't have any stuttering or anything going bad once the action kicked up. From Software, no, we're not doing that.
Get your ass out of here. What are you thinking we are?
Yeah, so with that patch, everyone got a staggering 1 frame per second extra.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that they actually said in that Microsoft Scorpio reveal that I thought was awesome. They're like, oh, any game that's out there, guess what? That's currently out on Xbox One and 360 backwards compatible, it's going to be native, 100% guarantee runs at the frame rate it was meant to. So, a game that might have ran, 27 frames per second, let's say Fable 3, that's backwards compatible, will guarantee 30.
And I also think, was it Far Cry 3 had that problem?
It's going to run the suggestive thing, and what they're going to do is the anti-aliasing and all that, so the textures look crisper and in the distance there's less jaggies. Every game is going to have that benefit. It's dude, that's awesome. PS4 Pro should have done something like that, and they kind of are with the boost mode, but still Sony's we're not fucking telling you what any of these features do. So Microsoft has some shit right, but you need the exclusives. And I'm saying, I'm not going to pick up the fucking Scorpio to play, I don't know, Halo Wars 2 at 4K. That shit ain't happening, okay? I don't want that. So,
yeah, because we can run down some of the specs right here because I have it in front of me. For Project Scorpio, I think the CPU is eight custom x86 cores clocked at about I think 2.3 gigahertz. The GPU is 40 customized computable units at 1172
for
megahertz.
A second, let me just backtrack to the CPU. Guess what? It's an overclocked Xbox One CPU, which means there's still a bottleneck. So it's not even a full next-gen system.
Yeah, that's what most people are saying, is that it's just the overclocked Xbox One, just like how the PlayStation 4 Pro is overclocked PlayStation 4 original. And then when we go down to the memory, at least they got that. At least they got that part right. Or they had memories 12 gigs of GDDR5, compared to the Pros has 8. And with the original one, it was 8 gigs of DDR3 with 32 megabytes of ESR RAM. And the memory bandwidth here is a little bit more than the Xbox. I mean, more than the Pro, which is 326 gigs per second compared to 218. For the Pro.
The specs, awesome. They're great. They're great specs. You cannot complain about that. If you're complaining about the specs, you're insane, because it's going to handle everything at 4K. That's great, but I want to see the games. Where's my scale? Where's my Fable? You cancel all the shit I want to play.
I mean, it's because from what I've seen is that sometimes they don't have faith in their first party development teams, and whatever comes in, because there are some horror stories in which some teams from the development teams that get canceled or shut down, is that in board meetings, when they're asking, what is this game about, what does it do, how much do you need, and how much time is it going to take, some of the executives would ask, well, can you put multiplayer in it? Can it be this way? Can it be motion controlled? And most of the dev teams are looking at each other like, no,
Can
we
it
can't.
utilize the
And
Kinect? No, because it's become
yeah,
one with fucking nature at this point.
yeah. And then that's when they go, well, either they'll get it, they'll give them some time with some astronomically unbearable, dates that they're supposed to have, like, they're supposed to have not like a build like for a build that's
Mm-hmm.
presentable to them to show that they're having things under control, to having a alpha within this time frame, beta within this time frame, and that's how it goes, and that's how Scalebound, presumably, if we go by what one person says from Platinum to what Microsoft says, is that it could be a amalgamation of both, saying that both sides couldn't handle their demands, and that's how it came to be. And that's how I kind of see it from how other development teams got shut down by Microsoft, is that they couldn't handle the demands that Microsoft put on them. So they just cut their losses. Unlike, I'm not saying that, like Nintendo or Sony are a little bit different, is that they'll give the teams a little bit more leeway. They'll give them some more time, but if it doesn't pan out, then that happens with that IP and that team.
Yeah.
They get dissolved.
Yeah, it's such a strange thing because I want to get excited, but I want to see games, man. I want to see exclusives, So
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, that's what driven me is. I would have wanted to get an Xbox if they had some
Yep.
exclusives, and they just kind of shut down most of their first party development teams. And then what Phil Spencer goes on about on the internet is, oh no, we're working on some teams, we're working on some first party IPs, and they usually never show
Yep.
up.
Tristan, since we're speaking about exclusives and buying consoles for exclusives, let's jump on to our. Oh, fuck! Let's switch! Jesus, come on. How did I lose that segue?
I don't know. Oh, what do you want to talk about first? Our thoughts on what we're playing, because we each of us have a Switch, a day one
What
version.
do you mean what we're playing? We're
To
fucking playing Zelda, and that's it. Wait, are you playing something? I mean, sure, I bought Shovel Knight, and that's it.
no, I didn't buy Shovel Knight because I have that for my PC and my PlayStation 4. So it's basically the
Same.
same
I
game,
only bought it
except
so I could bring it on the road with me.
but yeah, it's just I guess we'll talk about our thoughts first before we get into the direct. My thoughts is I've seen some games that I'm interested in, but I have to wait because you know how Nintendo does it. Unlike some of the um, other companies and even Steam, is that instead of it being like a worldwide
Uh-huh.
release or even like a month or two daily release, it's coming soon. But so far, I enjoyed Breath of the Wild. I beat it within a week because I couldn't put it down. It was really good. It's how people wanted it to be. I guess in the first place, it was Zelda Skyrim.
Yep.
That's what it was. It had some basic mechanics. The only thing I did not like was the breakable armor and weapons.
Yeah.
That part I did not
So
like.
I'm actually taking my super fucking slow ass time with this game, and by that I mean I'm playing so many games and doing so many other things that I don't have time. So I put maybe in like 2 hours a week if I'm lucky, and I love the hell out of the game. I mean, my wife's been playing it every night for like 2 or 3 hours, and
Mhm.
she loves the hell out of it. Like,
Yeah,
it's a really, really good game.
yeah. Like for people are on the fence getting like the Wii version and don't have a Switch because apparently Nintendo can't make enough Switches to supply the demand. You may want to get the Wii version if you really want to get into the Zelda, because it's well worth it for the fact that they have it to the point where you can do anything well, to a certain extent, anything in the game. You can try and beat the game by not even beating the game, or just beating one boss and then going straight towards where Ganon is in the tower and beat it
Yep.
that way. There's a lot of different ways you can beat the game, and there's a lot of Easter eggs and callbacks to other Zelda games
Oh
too.
yeah, I mean, I will say that I've seen a lot of the scores, and there's a lot of tens being tossed around there.
Yeah, I'd get for me, it's a really good game. I give it a 9, but like how people knock other games for having frame rate issues and stuttering, that's how I'm gonna be fair and give it a 9, because of the frame rate issues that it had before patches, because we're doing this all after they had
Yep.
patches, because now I think like they're up to like 1.12, which made it more stable. There's a lot less frame rate drops. Especially, I didn't get it. Especially the frame rate drops for me were increased action when there's particle effects going about, and apparently when Link's in a tall grassy area.
Yeah. Okay. So have you changed around playing it docked, undocked, and see if anything changes?
Undocked, it's a lot more
Uh-huh.
stable. But docked, that's where most of the problems lie,
Yeah,
is when it
so
gets
I never
docked.
played a thing docked, because I'm only, like I said, I decided to only play it on the road, which means when I'm going to a convention or something, it's the only time I'm gonna play and touch the damn thing. And I'm finding that
Mhm.
that's very much working in my favor. Cause I'm like, yay, it's like I get to do this and that, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Although it does have those setbacks, and like uh, Zelda lasts like 2 hours on the battery, man. It's killer. It is
Yeah,
killing me.
yeah, yeah. And compared to some other games, like I think they gave like for Mario Kart 8, which I just looked up, they gave it a runtime of like 3 hours. So
Ooh.
like when Nintendo says but for undocked mode or portable mode, it's gonna vary between how intensive the game is on the
Yeah.
system. And I'm gonna say is that my complete playthrough is gonna be on the channel, and people like, so we were talking in the chat, and people like, I think it was like Tom and them were making fun of me for saying how come you have like 20 parts and you're only like on the second dungeon. That's how big the game was. I like sidetracked, but like you have main quests just like any other RPG or adventure game, and then you have side quests. But what happens is for me personally is that when I get a side quest, I'll probably do that first before
Uh-huh.
continuing. And what ends up happening is that let's just say the second dungeon is at Death
Yep.
Mountain, and then the side quest that I get is like all the way in the opposite direction, in the
Oh yeah,
western
every fucking
quadrant
time.
of
Every
Hyrule.
time.
Yeah, and then another side quest pops up, so I'm following the side quest instead of doing the main quest, and then I wind up all the way across the map, and I'm just looking, and like I hopefully have a teleport area, because I'm either going to be running, gliding, or taking a horse,
Yep.
and that's how it happens. And I'm just gonna say you can have extreme fun with this, but only if you're a Zelda fan or a Zelda or an RPG fan. That's what it is, because I had a fun time with it. I'm probably gonna go back to it in a couple months, or whenever they have the DLC extra story, because just like how most games are now with adventure stories, or like they have
Yeah.
multiple endings, and if you get everything, I did get everything that to trigger the scene. There's gonna be an extra story after defeating Ganon. The Nintendo didn't show what the story is about, even at this direct. They might show it at
Yeah,
E3,
it's got to be
but the
Eddie.
DLC does not
Honestly,
come
I
out.
kind of doubt that they even fully knew. I mean, it's their first time doing like
Yeah,
DLC per
the
se,
story. Yeah,
so
yeah, story
yeah.
DLC anyway. Or yeah, it's probably gonna be at E3, because the schedule that they have it on is that if you buy the $20 season pass, you'll get it, but it won't come until, I think, yeah, it won't come until holiday season, so somewhere around November, December this year.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like the game. It was cool. The combat's fun. The paraglider's really fun to have sometimes. That's why I stand by giving it a 9 out of 10 for me anyway. Because yeah, I'd be fair with all the frame rate
Uh,
issues that it
yeah,
had.
I'm like right there with you. I mean, it does have its issues. That no lying about it. But it's like I've said before. I've never really been a Zelda fan ever in my entire life. So
I'm not so much a fan. It's just that certain games in the series
yeah,
I love.
I guess that's a good way to describe
It,
me too. It's like
yeah, yeah.
there's a like Wind Waker. I think is fucking awesome, and then Wind Waker.
Mhm.
Other than that, I'm just like, yeah, these other ones I don't care about.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's like Ocarina of Time. It's not my favorite, but I do, appreciate for what it did back in the day. I loved Majora's Mask, the Wind Waker. I love Breath of the Wild, and I also love like Link to the
mhm.
Past too. And the only other thing that I didn't like about Breath of the Wild, like I said, was the breakable. weapons. You don't know how many times you would be in a fight and your shield
Yep.
breaks, your sword
That is honestly the
breaks,
worst part of the
or your
game for
bow
me, is
breaks.
that part. Like, I'm just like, what? The conscious decision to make that was so stupid that I actually, like,
Yeah, most people said, why couldn't we get like a smithy and we had to gather materials because you have to do that to
right?
get
Yeah.
money. Gather materials and just fix your weapons. They have that in there, but it's only with the champion weapons. And for the champion weapons, it's kind of hard because you have to get like a level below
Hmm.
weapon before it. And one other thing, which is diamond. And diamond is really hard to come by. You're gonna have to be mining for a long time to get diamond. I have like 5 diamonds in my inventory, and I've never used them because you can sell them for a high price for money, or you can keep them and rebuild the weapons, champion weapons if you so
What? You don't
want
like
to.
grinding? You Sony fanboy? Get out of here.
No, I do. But what happens is this: you have to mine for ore, and finding the ore is not that hard, but it's tedious because you don't know what's gonna
Yep.
come out. You can get a diamond, or you could get some amber, and they don't give you a pick. You have to use whatever you
Yeah.
use. So like if you're using like a really shitty sword, you're hitting a thing and it will break too.
That's
Or you can use bombs, but bombs are kind of hit and miss because when you detonate it, it explodes and like the ore and stuff fly all over the place. So if you're on like a
oh yeah, it
cliff
goes
with
rolling down like fucking crazy. You're
yeah,
like, oh god,
it
no,
goes
gotta
rolling
start.
down or fly
Yeah,
off the cliff and you see something sparkly go down and you're like, I'm not going down
I
to
gotta
get it.
jump now, go save that shit, and I'm probably gonna die on the way down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's just that and that's the only thing because once you get the master sword, it's just from what I've seen from what people do, is that you can the master sword so-called breaks, meaning that it loses its energy and it goes down to a hilt and you can't use it for like 10 minutes. But the 10 minutes go by really fast if you're not even paying
Oh yeah,
attention.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's just that's the only thing. So people wind up just using the master sword because it quote unquote breaks but recharges because after a while you would basically have to use your better swords for actually fighting and your shittier stuff for just going around and doing stuff. And there is a thing about there are
Oh god,
thunderstorms,
yeah.
and I found out the hard
I,
way.
I realized when my shit was sparkling that I should put that shit away so I didn't get like electrocuted. So
Yeah, yeah, I got shot, I got shocked to death by doing that. I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Oh, don't tell me that I can't wear my metal shit. And then I have to like have a set ready to go when once lightning comes by. So I have to wear like nothing but wood shit,
yep.
and then keep going because if you're doing that, you're just gonna get shocked and killed
Do
to
it,
death."
fool.
Years ago, I mean, I did give the rundown. I mean, we can do some
Yeah.
of the games,
So
but like my initial thoughts on it, it's something like when I was talking about it, it's trying to give people something to do till
yep.
E3 because from what I've seen from the direct, there's not that many must-have games. It's just uh, Mario Kart 8 for people who didn't have Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, and then you got Splatoon, and then you got some digital download games, and there's not really much to it until E3. I mean, let me go down because I want to actually go down some of
Yeah, I mean,
what
I'm
they
not
have.
gonna. I mean, the
Yeah,
direct didn't do anything for me. I'm like, I never really played Splatoon, so I don't know what the hell's up with that. Like,
it's gonna have its own quote unquote zombie mode, so it has some co-op games
you
in it.
know.
I played Splatoon 2. It's Nintendo's answer to competitive
Oh
first
yeah,
well,
did you
third
see that
person.
trailer, man? They're gonna fill arenas. Huh.
Yeah, I mean it is fun. It's that it would be more fun if we could talk to our teammates because I've ran into that problem so many times where the team was like off on one end and people who actually know how to play the game would be on the other end, or at least like two-man
Yeah.
teams if for 6 people. And what happens if you're not communicating and the other team is, you're gonna get steamrolled.
That doesn't seem like a problem unless you're a noob.
Yeah. And it's happened to me a couple of times during matches where my whole entire team gets steamrolled.
I mean,
I mean, do you like Arms? Arms looks a lot more fun now since you don't have to use the Joy-Con motion
Okay,
controls.
so the quick answer to this is no. No, I don't. I do not like arms.
What? What it has its moments. I was kind of once I knew that you didn't have to use the motion controls
I mean,
and the Joy Cons to
here's the
punch and
thing.
stuff.
People in the comments are bitching about Uncharted: The Lost Legacy being $40 fucking, but they're paying 60 bones for fucking arms? Motherfucking arms! Over Naughty Dog shit. That's gonna literally be a full game. But alright, I digress. Whatever. Stupid.
I mean, the people have been told like people are trying to go on the bright side. It could be another competitive scene. I mean, can see it because it does have that asset to where you do, depending on the player. I mean, depending on the character you choose, you do have like loadouts for like boxing gloves and stuff, and you can do extra tricks and special attacks and stuff like that. And they have, I didn't know that at the point, but they did have a couple modes. You have 1v1 and 2v2. I was more interested in 2v2 to see the chaotic battles because you have to work with your teammate to actually win. And it was kind of interesting, but I had to see more. I'm not going to just drop down like $68 on just a boxing game. And they have more characters from what they've shown. I think they had like 4 originally. They showed another character called Min Min, so that's 5, and they had 4 extra that did not. So I guess you got like 9 characters total. And it's gonna come out. I think June 16th, opposed to sometime in the spring. So it went from spring to
Well,
summer.
they need all that development time, man. Gotta add more arm physics.
Yeah, and during that time, Nintendo is going to do what they did with N64, where they paraded around multicolored Joy-Cons.
The hype.
I think, yeah, around that time you'll get a special neon yellow Joy-Con if you saw
I love
one.
piss yellow. I hate yellow and green colors, man. Like on consoles too. I'm just like, God, it looks so nasty. Like,
I mean, it looked kind of cool, but I'd rather just get like the red blue one or just stick with my regular black one. And the next game they had that was, I guess, a major release you could say, which was it's coming up. I'm doing right here, which is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, coming out April 28th, so the end of the month. And you'll have all the DLC characters and all the characters, including DLC characters except for one, unlocks from the get-go.
all right, fair enough.
And you'll have all the DLC tracks, all the DLC carts in the game. You'll have online and offline battles if you can. I think local wireless mode, you can have up to 8 players.
Cool.
So if you're at a convention and like 7 other people bring their own copies of Mario Kart 8 and their Switch, you can have battles or races while you're waiting in line. And it also supports online or land mode up to 12 players for races.
Well, was there anything else they talked about, or is that pretty much it?
And they have Splatoon coming out. July. They had Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers, which is let me quote. It's I think it's $50 for a 9-year-old.
Don't get me wrong.
game.
I like Street Fighter enough, but
no, it's a version of Street Fighter 2 HD Turbo that they just added 2 extra characters and I think a motion controlled mode for Switch, which is $50. Most people I've seen online, they said this would be at most $15 to $20.
Yeah.
And they also had Minecraft Switch Edition, and Minecraft. Just everyone loves Minecraft. They just showed it.
Well, I'm glad that I could play Minecraft on the Switch along with my toaster and my fucking socks.
They had a little trailer for the 2 Sonic games that are coming out later down the year.
Sonic, goddamn Sonic.
And they had a tactical RPG. I think it was the Sky of 5 complete, which is already out or been out for PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 for I don't know how many years. It's coming out. And what's funny about this is that if you really wanted that game, you could go into the Japan Nintendo store and buy it because it's complete. There's nothing really different from it. It's just the DLC packs that are in it. It's completely translated. If you really wanted it now, you could actually buy it from the Japan store and then change the localization to English. You could play it that way.
Yep.
And they also have. Do you like Neo Geo arcade games?
Depends.
Because because they already having the games come out on their eShop, so you can get your arcade on with Neo Geo Classics.
I saw that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. You get like Metal Slug and whatever. Huh.
Yeah, and I don't know. Most people don't know why they did this. Yeah, do you like Monopoly?
No.
Well, you get Monopoly for the Switch with HD Rumble.
Well, you know what? Instead of talking about the Switch to nauseum, because we'll do that in the next couple weeks anyway. Let's switch on over to Battlefront 2 got its big reveal this past weekend.
Yeah, it was kind of funny how they had to release the trailer because it got leaked, so they blamed it on the rebel spies, so they delayed it by 3 days, I think.
So let's start with the positives. There's a full-on campaign. As typical Star Wars since Disney took over, you're playing as a woman. Because that has to happen now and everything. Because if you put a guy character, you're somehow I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. But
I mean, I'm just like, why would it matter? It's a campaign, and most likely it's going to be a first person, so you're not even going to really see the person.
But here's the thing. So they came out and announced that the game will not support a season pass.
Ooh, people's all, oh, look, they're learning. No, you can just go microtransactions.
But the rest of the game is microtransactions, because if you order the super duper $20 more expensive edition, you'll get like, I don't know what the hell's it called. It's like Stormtrooper Elite butt plugs or some shit. Like, you're pretty much gonna butt fuck everybody.
No, what it is this. I think it's the deluxe edition, but they're doing it now. I hate this. It's that you get to play the game 3 days early.
Assholes.
You get to play the game 3 days early, but that's not including the amount of player pool, which means it depends on how many people are gonna say, "Oh, I want to get ahead of the game and play 3 days early." But you have to put in account the player pool. So if it's really low, 3 days early, you're not gonna be.
Oh, don't worry. This is Star Wars. It's gonna be fucking huge. And the thing with it is like. But to get into that 3-day advanced thing, you gotta buy the super duper Stormtrooper edition thing. Well, it's like, well, all right, I'll give them more money, and then I get these uber duper fucking gun unlocks. So, like, this happened with Battlefront 1. If you bought the more expensive edition, you got the best handgun in the game. You could just fucking one-shot people from across the map, like Han Solo's gun. So, every single asshole, like myself, ran around with that stupid gun, one-shooting noobs. So now they give you like 5 guns.
Oh, and you get, I think the heroes get skins too.
Oh, yeah.
Because they said that you get either that or you get to unlock a certain hero for a certain map. It's that you get to have a version of Rey and a version of Kylo Ren from the Last Jedi, which is most likely just skins.
I mean,
and then something.
Here's the thing. I'm really excited for more Star Wars. I like Battlefront. I genuinely do. I wish I could play it right now, because when I go, all the DLC is a barren wasteland, so I've never actually gotten to play any of the DLC. That sucks. But it's a fun game. I think this is going to be the game they should have shipped for Battlefront 1. It's going to include all the eras, so, you know, the Clone Wars, the prequels, the original trilogy, the stuff that happens between Return of the Jedi and The Last Jedi. That's all awesome. It's going to have a ton of content. The biggest issue is the way they're just going to money-hungry punish people. And that sucks, because it genuinely looks like it's going to be a pretty decent game, so...
Well, yeah, it does seem generally decent. It's just that how they market this, because even I think, what is it? They have another special Star Wars edition for the Sony PlayStation 4, I think. And it was kind of bad because they showed that it was just a special box. That people were making fun of it because it was just a Star Wars box with a regular Pro
Yeah,
inside
but
of
this
it.
is Star
The Pro
Wars,
did not
and
have
you have
any.
to jerk off and buy it because it's fucking Star Wars. So, like, no joke. I know people that will
The
buy
Pro,
anything just because it's Star Wars.
yeah, I know, but like you know how like the last one from the first one had like Vader on top of the game or the system itself. This one is a regular Pro. It has no decals or Star Wars decals or anything. It's just a regular Pro inside a Star Wars
Mm.
box. Yeah, I mean, if people want Star Wars, they want the box, they can have the box, but the actual console itself is not going to have
Yeah.
anything.
So, I mean, I'm really gonna keep optimistic about Battlefront 2. I'm telling you right now, I'm buying it. It's fucking Star Wars. I'm gonna buy it. Like, I'm not gonna be those assholes that I see everywhere online. Oh, I'm not buying it. Day one, they're gonna be the motherfuckers playing the game. Like this happened with one of those Call of Duties where there was a giant petition on Steam, and there was like tens of thousands of people going, "We're not buying it," and the whole entire group was dedicated to people that are gonna boycott it. Literally, you check the group when the game came out, 90% were playing the game. Like, so it's like, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to buy this game. If it sucks, so be it. But I like the last one. I'm going to play. And I hope to God they include more VR content because Battlefront 1's VR add-on mission was freaking awesome. Probably one of the actual best VR experiences you could get. So,
Probably.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, that's probably something. I'm just waiting.
Yep.
I'm waiting to see more of the game instead of a
Right.
CG trailer.
We'll talk more about it after E3 because I'm assuming EA is having their conference. They're going to reveal like a full-on scripted map and all the scripted lingo talk and all that bullshit. So it'll be a good time.
Yeah, it should be.
Tristan, for our last topic, as always on every show, we do what the hell are we playing? So I already a little bit talked about it on Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'm going back through that. I'm beating it because it's a really, really good game that I suggest everybody plays. It's not Uncharted level, but it is a solid game that you should play if you're a Tomb Raider fan, or just like action adventure. But
Yeah.
other than Zelda, man, so I jumped on to the Persona bandwagon. I had no idea what the hell I was getting myself into, and I still don't because I'm relatively not far into it. I would say I am maybe 8 to 9 hours in, but that is a phenomenal game. Like that is a really, really good JRPG.
It's Atlas at its best.
Yeah.
That's basically what people have been. That's what people have been saying. That it's Atlas at its best.
I don't know, like I didn't know what to expect, but this time and age, like I'm just like looking for new experiences in video games and stuff, and just I saw Persona, and I kept hearing good things about the last one. I kept hearing good things about the Japanese version of 5. So I was like, I'll pick it up, I'll dive into it. If I spend 3 hours in and I don't like it, it's cool. And it's a slow start, and it gets going, and it's tedious because it's like, you have an hour after school. What do you want to do? You're like, well, I could go study or talk to this girl or do this, and it's kind of like it makes you manage your time. It's like a school simulator, which I really like. And the story is cool. The idea of the personas is cool. Like it's a very cool, stylized, unique game.
It's really good. I mean, it's how it was. There's like I don't know if it's true or not, but when I was checking on it, it was saying originally for the original delay for the English version, Atlas looked at the translation scripts for the English version of Persona 5 from Atlas America, and they looked at it, did not like it, so they made Atlas America rewrite the whole entire thing. And I can kind of see that because they do try to localize it a bit. Because from what I've seen and heard is that, and from what other some localization teams do, is that they dropped honorifics from what people say. So it was kind of a little bit, I don't know, I'm not going to say it was a little cringy, or it was just a little bit different from what I've come accustomed to, like from people who are not accustomed to what honorifics are in Japan. Is it's different suffixes to where depending on how close you are to a person. So like if they're saying like san, it means that they're not really close to a person. It could be like a coworker or a person they're just acquaintances with. To kun or whatever, It just depends on how close you are. To me, it was a little bit jarring because I don't really, for localizations, I don't really hear that coming from I guess, an English VA's mouth all that much. There are some that do that, but there are a lot that keep the suffixes out, and you just use like Mister or Mrs. and stuff like that.
Well, it's
But all in all, it's a really good game. It's like they put in, like, from what I was saying, it's a dungeon crawling RPG classic, and they have some simulation aspects to it, to where you got what you want to do after school and stuff like that.
I didn't know this was a thing. I really did not. So like the personas, like these like powers you take on essentially, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know like the game fundamentally shifts. Like the first thing you're doing to this isn't really a spoiler, it's been everywhere, but you're walking to school with this one kid and it's switching between an actual anime and the game, and it's really stylish and cool. And then you enter a castle, and through that you figure out, oh, this teacher, like, he thinks he's the king of the castle because of like these medals he's won, so his like world is represented as a castle, and he has like these sexual like tendencies, and they're represented. Like, it's so fucking cool. Like, I never thought that was a concept, and I love the shit out of it.
That's the Persona. The Persona series is specifically a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei series, which gets really fucking
I've
dark.
never even heard of that. I had to look up what the hell that was on top of it. Like, I've heard people talk about it. I was like, I've never heard of these things.
Yeah, it's like the spin-offs of the Shin Megami Tensei. I don't know that much about it, but what I do know is it has to deal with like gods and demons and stuff, and like apocalyptic shit that's happening. And the Persona series it's got a spin-off from that. So like, the persona is a representation of what you actually are, your personality, and that's how I guess that's how it's perceived, that with the palaces and stuff and the bosses, the palaces themselves are the personification of what they feel in that particular moment. And I'm just gonna say is that I'm gonna applaud them for leaving the Persona 5 completely uncensored. Everything in the game is everything in the game. It's not like how sometimes, depending on what it is, if it's on I'm just gonna say like on a Nintendo console, for a main Nintendo console, not so much the handheld like a 3DS, because that one was mostly uncensored, but they do censor some stuff. I know, like the spin-off game that they had, I think it was Fire Emblem Shin Megami Tensei. I think it was Tokyo Mirage Sessions is what it was called. People got mad at that because Nintendo, being Nintendo, censored some of the stuff that really didn't need to be censored, and they switched some stuff around. And I think people applauded Atlas, because Atlas usually does not censor. They localize it to a point, but they will not censor what they have, which garnered people like loving the game, because whatever there was in the game in the Japanese release, it was in the English release as well. Completely. What I'm saying is that them rating for the game, you got I think it was like killings, beheadings, I think rape at one point.
The good stuff, right?
They had the first boss of the pedophile, and suicide. Sometimes it just gets fucked up towards the end of the game. But yeah, it's garnered its reputation for being, I think, like the best RPG since, or I think was it turn-based RPG since, I think, like Final Fantasy. I'm gonna say 8 or 9.
It's
like on Metacritic, it was like at a 94 or 93%.
Well, I mean, I'm very vocal about how much I don't typically like Japanese games. They're just not my thing. But between between this and Yakuza, oh man, like I am all in, and I already pre-ordered the Yakuza 1 remake. Like I'm super psyched to get into these games because they're very cool.
I think the reason is it's not so much on, like, I think like it's not so much on Japanese. I think it was a Japanese geek culture. It's more on the psychological aspect of it, because it really does get psychological for certain themes and certain bosses on how I think like on all the bosses, it's like well, each boss is a version of one of the seven deadly sins. So you got
Oh, that's
greed,
cool.
lust, and all that other stuff on
So
there.
other than that, really, I haven't been playing much. I've kind of I don't know if maybe something happened, but I've stopped playing The Witcher for a bit. I think I'm
Mhm.
sick, maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
oh, and for people who are wondering, I did get well, we did get was it Mass Effect Andromeda?
You know,
Um, I'm just gonna say this. I think I played 12
hmm
hours and I put that down and never
okay.
went
So
back to
here's
it
the thing.
again.
I want people to anticipate something next week because next week we're gonna do like a 20-minute discussion on Mass Effect because I'm gonna go back and see if the patch fixed anything. But I'll tell you this right now:
Trust me, it barely did anything. It barely did anything.
fuck
It's still kind of
that
ugly.
fucking game. In every single hole it has, and trust me, it has a fucking hole every 10 seconds and you do anything. It is a
Yeah,
fucking mess. Holy shit.
yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna just put it this way. You are in a universe or in a galaxy that has giant space turtles, androgynous jellyfish, and after meeting those types of sentient beings, I don't really care if you're transgender. It seems less special when you're talking up to a turtle that can literally kill you.
Also, how about the fact you go to the Andromeda Galaxy and you meet only two new fucking species? Wait,
Well, that's just
I
kind of lazy.
Jesus, EA. Yeah, but you know what? That's a rant for next week. So overall, we've been playing Persona. Anything else you want to touch upon before we end it?
Uh, let's see. Oh, there's some other games I want to get into near. It's an also great game, but I just have a lot of other
Yep.
stuff coming and going. So I'm gonna try and get some thoughts out, but don't expect
Yeah.
anything.
I guess we'll catch you guys next week for the next show and anticipate the Mass Effect talk. And we'll be back with that podcast soon.
Yeah, yeah, and people who like the multiplayer, I was one of them, and kind of
I ain't
boring.
gonna touch that shit. I can't even stand a single player. Oh.
Trust me, it's a lot more boring than the
Ooh.
three.